And what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth in Power Talks. And I just got shushed. Did you hear me shush you? I just got shushed. I was trying to sing along, and I got shushed. I don't know if the listeners can hear me or not, but I was trying to be a little Debbie Reynolds. Melody shushed me.
Well, it was shushment of a good kind.
How do you have a shush of a good kind?
Well, you're laughing, aren't you?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
And I hope listeners are too.
I hope they are. I hope they're laughing. I hope they sing along, too, with Debbie Reynolds. I do miss her. I really liked her as an actress and performer. She was really awesome.
Well, you know what? We do, and, you know, we have a few laughs at the beginning of the program, then we get serious and so forth. And we are in a time going into Christmas. It is very stressful for many, many folks. In fact, I was up out and about early this morning. I took my little doggie to the groomers to get her Christmas grooming and so forth. And there's a hospital next door. And just in the short time that I had to drive in and drop her off, there was like ambulances. And the lady that grooms my dog says, "Be careful out there." She says, "This morning we've seen a lot of ambulances." And I says, "Well, why? I mean, what is it today?" You know, and she says, "We've seen a lot." She says, "People are just not paying attention and stressing and you know, not paying attention." Mm-hmm. And so this article is by Gallup. Now, this isn't a Christmas stress that we're talking about, but 8 in 10 Americans are afflicted by stress. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And certainly Americans...
And where do we fall? I think I know.
Americans who feel stressed sometimes or frequently during their day is 79%. This was a Gallup poll that was done between December 4th and December 11th. So we have 4 in 10 adults, which is 41%, say they lack the time to do all they want. And a similar proportion, 44%, frequently feel stressed. And as I mentioned before, 44%, about 8 in 10 Americans say they frequently or sometimes 35% encounter stress in their daily lives. 17% say they rarely feel stressed, while 4% say they never do. And, you know, this goes on and it talks, but, you know, they have a couple of charts in general. How do you experience stress in your daily life? Never, rarely, sometimes, frequently. And they show the percentage of what I just mentioned. And then they show another graph of the percentage do not have enough time to do all you want, and the percentage frequently express stress in daily life. And it goes back to 2001 to 2017. It's interesting because some of that, the higher stress was actually when the economy was doing very well. So they had another graph that went back a longer period of time, and it showed over the years that every time the economy was actually doing better, and right before we went into a recession, you had peaks of higher stress. You would think just the opposite, you know, because the economy's good, you're doing good, you're feeling good, you're optimistic, just like we are now, and yet the stress was higher at those points in time. And I found that kind of interesting. So, you know, what does it mean? I just think it's interesting.
Christmas time is stressful. and Melody and I were talking prior to the show that we put a lot of that stress on ourselves, and I know I do. I always have this vision of the Hallmark Christmas in the house, and it's never, ever going to be like that. Never, ever is it ever going to be like the Hallmark pictures, you know, where it's all peaceful and calm. It's never going to be like that when you have 20, almost 30 people in the house. But it's, when I was directing choirs, you had the big cantata that was coming up, and you had all the practices and all that, and it's very stressful to you because you want it to be perfect, you want it to be great, not just for you, but for our Lord. You want to present something great for Him, it's a praise, and but you're bringing in people that maybe that's the only time they come into the church building. So that's kind of stressful, and while I was doing that, I was also being the mom and trying to get Christmas all bought and wrapped and taken care of, as well as, plan out the meals for everybody coming home, and it's just something that we put a lot of the stress on ourselves, but it is a stressful time because everything escalates. Your events, you have the parties, you have other things that you have to go to attend. The end of the year, is coming up. So the financial stuff, it just all kind of piles on you all at once, and it is stressful. And, we kind of live in a stressful, everything is moving fast. Everything's got to be done now. These cell phones, you just pay. How did you survive without a cell phone? I was watching an old movie. It wasn't real old, but it was before cell phones. And I go, hey, they had an accident and they don't have a cell phone. How are they going to get help? But, we go back and we see how things were simpler, and it seems like the more technology, the more things we have, the more stress we have added to that. Keeping, they say the more bells and whistles you've got on a vehicle, the more you have that can go wrong. Well, that's the same thing in our lives. The more conveniences we have, it seems like the more they can go wrong. I remember when I worked in a clinic, where there was all kinds of people. I'm alone in my office. I don't have to take a turn at the microwave. Somebody says, "Oh, it takes 8 minutes," and I'm going, 8 minutes? What do you mean 8 minutes? Thaw that thing out and just throw it in there. But we do live in a stressful world. It's just a fast-paced world, and a lot of the stress we put on ourselves. And
but
that's why we drink coffee.
And you know what? The bottom, much of this, and this poll it was taken right before Christmas, but it wasn't a holiday-focused survey. And, they do talk about the beginning of the introduction of the iPhone in 2007, about this technology that, it does provide some efficiencies in people's lives, so it makes them shop maybe a little bit easier from home. They can do their banking online. They can work online, from their cell phones. They can follow they can do a whole lot more, but yet it doesn't seem like there was a payoff in reduction of stress, so we are, what is, and again, it's like supposedly the better we do, the more stressful we become, and you'd think it would be just the other thing. Of course, there's other things that impact stress. You have jobs, family structure, your eating habits, the economy, the political environment. How much stress?
Oh my goodness!
For the past 3 years, since the campaign began. I mean, it's been, covered, 24/7,
and nothing positive.
And nothing positive.
The news gives you nothing. Not that there isn't anything positive. There has been positives, but that's not what they're giving us, which makes the blood pressure for those who have anxiety rise, and because you don't hear anything, and it makes you go, not in a total depression, but it brings you down because you think, man, there's just no hope. Look at this mess, But when you constantly hear the hate and the negativity, it's got to affect you.
The hate, the negativity, the agitation.
Oh my gosh!
Which it would affect you in through your work, and particularly for radio hosts, this is sometimes this is some form of therapy because we get to talk about it.
Yeah, we get to vent.
We get to vent, and we try to look at things in a different manner. And so I just thought that was a little interesting report. We can, move on to something else. But so stress is not going away. But the most important thought that I thought was interesting was the higher levels of stress was right before we were heading into recessions at the time, where things seem to be the best. And
stir your hot cocoa with a peppermint stick and relax. Okay. That.
Yes.
I was just trying to give everybody some advice. Have you never done that before? Stirred your hot cocoa with a peppermint stick?
I don't drink hot cocoa.
You don't drink hot cocoa?
No.
Are you the Grinch or something?
I'm the Grinch.
You're the mean one, Mr. Grinch.
No, I don't. No.
She doesn't drink hot cocoa.
I drink peppermint teas.
I like peppermint tea.
I drink peppermint tea.
I do like peppermint tea, but I like hot cocoa. I don't drink a whole lot of it.
When we were children, I mean, toast. You know, we'd have toast and hot chocolate. And there was 3 of us kids, and we'd go through a loaf of bread, dipping our toast in our hot chocolate. You know, that was a special treat. We didn't get it often.
Like I say, I didn't do that. I had hot toast, but not with my hot cocoa. But,
we did. It's wonderful.
I do like hot cocoa. You know, that was one thing. That's a memory of my grandmother, my Grandma Sumter. That's my maiden name, and she would ask me what I wanted when we went down there, and the next morning she'd ask me what I wanted, and if I said hot cocoa, I got hot cocoa, and I did, and she made it from scratch. It wasn't any of that instant stuff, but she made me hot cocoa. And
I thought you were spoiled.
Well, I am spoiled by Grandmama. And if you call that spoiled, and I had Post Toasties. She had Post Toasties. Cornflakes, I had Post Toasties. So that's how I got spoiled with hot cocoa from Grandma.
Well, overnight, supposedly, the people of this country are going to get spoiled with a $1.5 trillion tax cut. Despite Democrats warning they'll rue this day, and protesters screaming, "Don't kill us!" paving the way for a final House vote today. There was a little earlier hiccup, but the House was supposed to vote on it today. But the Senate passed it in the wee early of the hours. The only one that was absent, of course, was Senator John McCain. We all know that the House passed the tax cuts earlier in the day, 227 to 203, but 2 provisions fell foul of the parliamentary test, meaning they have to vote again today. And, of course, it should get to his desk by the end of the day. And I can't imagine that they won't get this through. You know, we're having a little last-minute drama. And I didn't have the chance to see exactly what it was that they didn't like and that they changed. And
you know, I had a website where it had the bill, but it wanted to charge me to print it. It wouldn't allow me to print it or copy and paste. It was some kind of a fancy PDF. I thought, well, doggone it, I wanted to look at it because it had step-by-step everything that was in it. And, you know, it's kind of comical, talk about stressful. You see them interview somebody that's really all for it, and I mean they are giddy. They are so excited about this tax bill. And then you have Schumer up there, and you'd think that it's going to rain on a nuclear rain the next day because it's just so bad. It's going to kill everyone. Everyone's going to starve. It's just the only people that are going to live is big corporations. It's like, seriously, I really doubt we see that much change. But, well, I don't know. This one, I have a little article here that says President Donald Trump is looking to sign this reform legislation bill. And here's how it's supposed to affect you. The House of Representatives passed the White House-backed bill last night, although it will be, like you said, it's going to be voted again today. The Tax Policy Center has estimated 80% of taxpayers will get a tax cut in 2018. Now, they've been telling us we're going to see it in the very first paycheck for those who receive a paycheck. So we'll finish this when we come back. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and right now we're talking about the tax reform bill that's supposed to be a miracle or a death threat. I don't know which. And the number to call is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann will be right there.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually, there is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a left behind rapture scenario, this false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Listening to Power Talks, Melody and Beth Ann. This morning we're trying to discuss, it's been hard to find out everything that's in that tax bill. This particular article that I have is from the Daily Caller, and they say that 80% of taxpayers will get a tax cut in 2018. And when I was watching the news last night, and I can't remember the senator that they were interviewing, but she was very excited about this bill, and she was saying you're going to see it in your very first paycheck that you receive in January. You will get more money on your paycheck. Now, I don't know if it's 5 cents, 10 cents, 15 or $20. I don't know how much it's going to be. It says here, if you are a single taxpayer living in Pennsylvania, making $60,000 a year with no children and taking the standard deduction, you save $1,492. If you're a married couple with 2 children in New Mexico, I don't know why they didn't just keep it in Pennsylvania so we could compare, making a combined $100,000 and taking the standard deduction, you save $2,868. The bill, however, is unpopular with the public. According to recent polls on the Monmouth University poll, found that 47% of Americans don't approve of the tax proposal. How can you approve or disapprove? We really don't know what's in it. I mean, I haven't seen anything. I think maybe you've seen a few things, but I don't know how we could make a decision.
From listeing to the conversations on both sides.
Yeah,
I suppose.
That kind of. I have. I saw something. Let's see. I have some other.
I just want to say. I want to say something about these tax cuts. It really isn't to the tax cuts to the people that make a difference. It really doesn't. I mean, they're so minimal. I mean, what are people going to do with the savings that they get from their taxes? They're either going to pay off their bills. Health insurance is going up to where it'll eat away any of the tax savings that they get. But they use the people to sell the bill. They use the positives. They use it to sell it to the American people. That's that part of it. Now, maybe $1,400 that someone who's really poor, is not making a lot of money and is poor and so forth, that will have an impact in their life. But when they talk about the middle class and so forth, I don't think $2,800 is going to mean much to them at all. And again, their health insurance has probably gone up, 4 times that much in this past year, and Lord knows what it'll be, the following years. The important part is the money that they need to bring back. You're talking about trillions of dollars that they're trying to bring back into this economy. Now, you're going to have one or two things that are going to happen. Number one, you're going to see, we're not quite sure where these trillions of dollars are parked at in other places around the world. We know Ireland carries a lot. They hold a lot of money in some of these multinational corporations. You think these countries are just going to sit by idly and wait for all this money to be removed and brought back to the United States? Well, maybe they don't have anything to say about it, but, they're going to fight about it, and they're going to do whatever they can to retain it. A lot of the world, the European countries and so forth, they're negative interest rates. So, even if we're paying a 0.00001, and I'm exaggerating, but, that's better than a negative. So, we don't know exactly how much of this money is going to come back to the states and what other situations crop up from it. Now, I see if this money comes back, you would assume that we're going to have this money, what they're anticipating, this money coming into our economy, as highly inflationary. You have two sides of the arguments. If these corporations do put it through the economy, yeah, it's very, very inflationary. And but I don't get the part where we're supposed to be at almost full employment. They want to grow the GDP by 1%. Okay, I get that. But if we're at full employment, this country is already doing great, supposedly by what they tell us, that's doing so. The economy is doing so great. Why would corporations spend money to improve? I mean, you might have some that might, maybe they'll upgrade their technology, but do you really believe consumer purchasing is going to propel with the $2,800 and the $1,400? Do you think they're really going to be able to propel the economy up to the 4% in order to justify these, the remaking of manufacturing? I mean, I think we're going to see some sort of a knee-jerk reaction. I mean, we've already seen it. Look at the stock market, and that's what everybody says. Oh, this economy is so great. Look at the stock market. Our economy is not the stock market. And that's what people, they tie it to one another, but it isn't. Not when you have these corporations and they're buying back their own stocks. I mean, it's a false stock market. It's an illusion. We don't know we really don't know what the stock market would be in relationship to our economy. That tie has been broken a long time ago. So we really don't know what is going to happen to those trillions of dollars if they come back to the states. There's the arguments on the other side that they say, well, they're just going to go buy back more of their shares. They're going to buy back more of their shares, and the money's going to go to the stockholders. That's what I think. Those stockholders already think that's their money, so why would they let it trickle down? You're going to see some. So this is really up in the air, and nobody will know until
it's
a year
in place.
Yeah, nobody's going to know for a year.
I have a second article here that says that it says in addition to slashing rates, the bill doubles the standard deductions, allows for the deduction of state and local taxes up to $10,000, expands the child tax credit from $1,000 to $2,000, which is fully deductible up to $1,400 for families making under $400,000, and allows homeowners to deduct mortgage interest on their first and second homes up to $750,000.
But I think they eliminated the line of credit deduction.
That might be.
I think they eliminated that.
Okay. It's not talking about the line of credit yet. Anyway, the Republicans praised the bill as a major step toward economic growth, larger paychecks, and a simpler tax code. Despite the GOP's assertion the bill will benefit almost all Americans, Democrats have widely criticized Republicans for how the bill was crafted, arguing it favors the wealthy and corporations over the middle class. And I think the Democrats are speaking, of course, they're just playing politics. But how well has the middle class been treated underneath the Democrat lead? It's not been very well. We've been going downhill for a long time. Through the last several administrations, the middle class has been going down. Anyway, it says following the GOP's botched attempts on the Affordable Care Act to replace and repeal and replace it, they're looking for a win. And they were saying last night that this win may be very short-lived because the Democrats are threatening to shut down the government. They're going to shut it down. I just laugh when they say that. It's like, what a threat. I'm so worried.
I know.
It's like,
they won't shut them down. That's the unfortunate part. Hey, shut it down, but make sure you shut down the politicians.
That's the little kid throwing...
Not the people that are out there working for a living. Shut down the congressmen and the senators.
Yeah, them threatening to shut the government down is like a child throwing a fit, saying, I'm going to hold my breath till I die. They'll pass out and start living again, breathing again. It's like, you're not messing with me on this one because it doesn't do anything when you shut down the government. To me, it looks like they don't do their job. They do not do their job. And there was somebody last night that kept going back to that. This is this way because Congress hasn't done their job. And they were talking about some of these investigations and everything else. That's just Congress's responsibility to keep those things from happening. Speaking of these special committees and investigations, then they don't want to deal with it. So they bring up a special committee, but they don't do their job. That's why we're in the mess all across the board, whether it's with taxes, whether it's with debt, whether it's with our borders not being taken care of. Those are the few things Congress is supposed to take care of. Presidents come and presidents go. Congress stays and stays and stays and stays. And we end up deeper and deeper in debt and hurting individually as citizens because the economy just doesn't turn around. I mean, they may have a little Band-Aid here, make people feel good, which is what the Democrats are afraid of. That people are going to recognize, I do have a little more money in my paycheck, and that's the only thing some people look at. And that would scare the Democrats.
Yeah, but people aren't getting this money back in their pockets because we have an excess of money and we're refunding it back to the people.
No.
These politicians...
But if you see a few dollars extra on your paycheck, you do notice that. Those people who get a paycheck. And they do notice that. And that's all that some people look at. And so if...
That's what the politicians are hoping that the people will just see. And, they won't see the other inflation that's coming in to bite them. And one of my... Mitch McConnell, he just... I'll be really nice. He made a statement. After 8 years of slow growth and underperformance, America's ready to take off, he says. Asked about a need to sell the bill, McConnell said, if we can't sell this bill to the American people, I think we ought to go into another line of work. It isn't about selling something to the American people.
And it's about doing something right.
It's about doing something right. But there is no what am I trying to say? There's no spending cuts that's attached to this. And they say $1.5 trillion. Trust me, in 10 years, it's going to be $3 or $4 trillion.
You know what they were saying is attached to it? And I'm trying to figure this out. Last night they were talking about, of course I was tired, but I was watching it last night. They were talking about opening up drilling in Alaska is attached to it. Why? Why is that attached to the tax bill?
Did they also attach the budget spending bill to this and the debt ceiling?
I don't know.
Is that why? Is that why we haven't heard them talk about it? And is it supposed to expire on the 22nd?
Well, I don't know. They were saying last night that the Democrats, if this passes, they're threatening to shut the government down, which would be a part of that, the next day. So before the end of the week, before Christmas, they're wanting to shut the government down. Well, nobody's going to visit the monuments during Christmas anyway. You know, that's what gets affected. And nobody loses a paycheck in the government. But I don't know, but they were talking about that, and I'm sitting there and going, why is that in a tax bill? But, you know, that is something that they do. You know, that's the magicians in Congress, you know, to pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, nothing up my sleeve, you know, as they attach all these things to different bills that have nothing to do with that bill. They were all excited about the people that I saw being interviewed. They were all excited about this happening in Alaska. They've been waiting a long time for this particular area to get opened up. And apparently it was going to pass, and it's on this tax bill, and I was trying to figure out why is that on the tax bill. But, again, Congress, you know, they're tricky dickies, as they used to call Nixon, tricky dicky, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
They're all that.
But gold is having a nice day today. We had a nice week in gold so far. Gold is up $3.70 this morning at $1,266. Silver is up 8 cents today at $16.30. I just want to remind the listeners that the 2018 Silver Eagles will be available in January. We can lock in the price for you. And we had free shipping on orders of Silver Eagles 20 or more. So you'll get free shipping. We'll do that till the end of the year. So, I think, you know, the precious metals are anticipating that we're going to see greater inflation in this country. We used to export our inflation. We have exported our inflation to China, but if we're bringing those factories back to this country, that means, you know, our prices and everything will go higher. So we're not quite sure what type of an impact that's going to have on the consumer, and I don't think anybody really does either. And again, this is just something that has to be, you know, a year from now, what will we be talking about? I think we'll be in another recession by
well, a year from now, every time December rolls around, we're talking about the threat of shutting the government down. Another, you know, are they going to increase the debt ceiling? Or are they going to have any tax reform? I mean, it's the same story every December.
Pretty much. You know, but, well, yeah, there's the budgets and so forth to deal with. But, you know, there's no discussions of the debt ceiling. They moved DACA to January, so they're disassociating DACA to the debt ceiling, because that's what was when he had his first meeting with both Pelosi and Schumer, the very first one where you saw him hugging Schumer. That was all about the debt ceiling, and that was all about DACA. So they separated the two. So it could very well be that they attached the debt ceiling to this tax bill.
Well,
I'll have to do some research on that and see what comes out today. But I've been asking. Greg Hunter was interviewing David Stockton yesterday, and I says, well, why isn't anybody talking about, you know, the budget, the spending bill, and the debt ceiling? All it is this tax. And he was going to ask him, but I haven't heard a response back yet. He says, yeah, you're right. He says, I'm going to ask David Stockton about that. So don't know if he did, don't know what the answer is, but we'll bring that to you if, once I have an answer.
Well, you know, I got a big kick out of an interview with Corker because he was fighting the tax bill until he wasn't. Senator Bob Corker out of Tennessee, he's a Republican out of Tennessee, and he was having to explain Well, I just, and he just was stuttering and stammering around, and I got a kind of a big kick out of it. He was against it until he was for it. Well, I just went ahead and voted for it because it's not going to make that big a difference. Everybody else is talking like it's going to save the world, and of course the Democrats, everyone's going to die. If you listen to Pelosi.
You know what's just so shameless is you have these politicians and they, it's like this, and then they just go with these big smiles. They pat each other. They're just a bunch of pompous butts. They pat themselves
you remember
on
Helen
their
Chenoweth?
backs. It's just,
Do you remember Helen Chenoweth?
Job. I'm sorry.
Do you remember Helen Chenoweth? She was married to Wayne Hage. You remember the Hage story with the land?
Yes,
yes. Okay. Well, she was his second wife. His first wife passed away through all of that stress and everything of losing everything they had because the government took it. But Helen Chenoweth was a senator. Was she a senator or representative? And she was telling someone that was representing a land rights foundation. They'd go up there to D.C. and talk. She met them in D.C. She said, "You see what I'm telling you? It's just a good old boys club. The only time they disagree and hate each other is when the camera's on them."
Yep.
Then they go down and they hug and they pat each other on the back and they buy each other drinks and they carry on. And she says, "It's just a good old boys club. You're not going to get anywhere up here." Mm-hmm. And she was explaining that just because they tell you one thing doesn't mean that's what they're going to do. So, yeah, they're only enemies in front of the camera. Yes. They're all getting rich. They're all getting
absolutely
rich. And the American people are, and then they have the audacity to say, "Well, we're going to give you a tax cut. You might get $1,200 more a year."
I know.
I'm so excited.
I know. I just want to go up there and smack them.
Where is your mama? Did she ever teach you not to lie?
But I'll tell you what, the way they get rich is, Rosie O'Donnell, she lashed out at the GOP senator over the tax bill and saying, "Do you think your family is proud of you?" She lashed out at Collins. And somewhere on the headline was she offered him, $1 million to vote no. She tweeted earlier Tuesday she promised to give $2 million in cash to Collins and Flake if they voted against the GOP bill.
She does realize that's against the law, right?
You would
to bribe a senator.
She probably doesn't realize that.
To openly bribe a senator. I mean, they're doing it all the time up there with their lobbyists, but I mean,
but she attempted to tweet directly to Collins, and she told the senator to call her if she wanted to negotiate the $2 million offer. But we know, after that type of Collins had to vote for it, because after being offered $2 million, if she didn't vote for it.
Way to go, Rosie. Thank you.
There you go, yeah.
Oh, good old Rosie O'Donnell. If she had a clue, she'd be dangerous. I don't know. She's, I don't know what to say about Rosie.
It is illegal to offer money to public officials,
It is. It's absolutely.
It's illegal.
Yet she was doing it openly.
And she was doing it openly.
And nobody's going to do anything about it either, are they?
No, of course not.
No.
Of course, they just think it probably wasn't a serious offer, but I'll bet you 100 Hershey Kisses. Hershey Kisses.
I bought some peppermint Hershey Kisses last night. I'm on a peppermint roll, in case you didn't notice that. I need some peppermint. Rosie O'Donnell tweets all the time, and she's the one that Megyn Kelly was defending in that very first debate when she and Donald Trump went at it. And Rosie O'Donnell, I saw those tweets. They were very vulgar. Not Donald Trump might have been insulting to her, but he did not use vulgarity like she did. And I had something that was tweeted, and she wasn't kind to me. Rosie O'Donnell was not kind at all. In fact, she told me to do something that I think is biologically impossible. But anyway, I don't have a lot of respect for Rosie O'Donnell. I think they ought to arrest her now for trying to bribe an official. But
no, yeah, but they will.
That would be funny. That would be so funny. It'd make my Christmas.
They should at least take down her tweet. But anyway, freedom of speech, I suppose. But that is to me that is a bribe.
It's not freedom. To bribe an official is not freedom of speech.
Correct. There was also another report. It was this is from, I never heard of this place, Grabian News, Grabien, Grabian News. But their headline was, if I can bring it up here, the 10 most mortifying media moments, 2017. We can save this, but we're kind of having fun today, so we are kind of having fun. We may as well go with the flow.
Before you bring that up, I've got to bring something else that was fun up that I saw, and it was Chris Christie. He was being interviewed. What is her name? Nicole Wallace's, and he was being interviewed for her, and she was like interrogating him, over any meeting that he might have been in during the campaign with Donald Trump and Flynn and anybody else that was in there. And she was going after him. He goes, "What were you working for Mueller now?" And it was hysterical. And she goes, "Well, no, I'm just doing my job." He said, and then, of course, he was saying that they ought to just let it play out. He thought it would play out, and well, it'll be what it is, and all this and that. But anyway, it was kind of a funny interview because she didn't expect him to do that. What, are you working for Mueller now?
You know what? Say what you might about Christie. I mean, he's a player. He's
politician.
He's a politician, 110%. But he is fun to listen to.
He is.
And you know what? He is a good debater. And he doesn't.
And I still
he does make his point.
The thought still went through my mind as to whether or not he would have been a go-getter in place of what Sessions has not done, or it appears that Sessions doing nothing. I still want to say he's working really hard behind the scenes. We're going into a break, and I apologize. I have not given the number all through this, and it's not on purpose. It's Melody's fault. 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218. I got shushed again. We'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
We have listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and I had kind of interrupted Melody, so I'm going to hand it right back to her. What was it you had? The top what for 2017?
This is the 10 most mortifying media moments of 2017. Okay. Do you want to give out our phone number again, just in case anybody wants to?
Yes, 717-300-1218. We are in the final segment, so make it quick. 717-300-1218.
Well, at number 10, it's titled, "It's Our Job to Tell You What to Think." In February, there was a broadcast of Morning Joe, and co-host Mika Brzezinski chastised Trump for telling Americans to be skeptical of the press, worrying Americans may trust him over her media colleagues. He could have undermined the messaging so much that he can actually control exactly what people think, and that is our job, she says. So... And then we go. Now remember, these are the biggest mortifying media moments of 2017. And ABC botches the biggest story of the year. Shortly after Michael Flynn was indicted for lying to the FBI, ABC's Brian Ross broke what appeared to be a massive scoop, that during the campaign, Trump instructed him to coordinate with Russia. This led to reporters giddily anticipating the apparently inevitable downfall of Trump, which no one highlighted better than Joy Behar, who literally shouted, "Yes," after delivering Ross's scoop. Well, I think we all know this, but the only problem is the story was completely wrong. And it was then President-elect Trump who had given these very normal instructions, just as Obama had reached out to Iran during his own transition, and Ross was subsequently suspended for the serious error.
But Joy wasn't.
No, unfortunately, the people who watch her still got her.
I call her Bahar. Joy Bahar.
I just can't, Bahar. I just can't believe that view is even on the air. I mean, that is...
Who watches them?
Who in the heck would watch them?
Don't watch Bahar. Come listen to Melody and Beth Ann. Join the light side. Come to the good side. Don't go to the dark side.
Number 7 was Hillary, our hero. After spending months hunting for an opportunity to expose a Trump scandal, Hillary published her book on the 2016 race, What Happened. Now remember, these are mortifying media events. And on a whirlwind publicity tour where reporters treated the scandal-scarred former First Lady to Chardonnay flattery and panda videos.
Oh my God.
Let's see, what other good ones are we getting close to the number 1? How about let me see. How about number 1? We'll just do a slobber fest. In President Obama's final appearance before the White House press corps, reporters used this opportunity to shower him with praise, adulation, and let's see, it just goes on. That honor may have gone to the Blade's Chris Johnson, who itemized to the president what he felt was his strongest and greatest accomplishments, before inviting him to bash Trump. So again, how is he going to explain the election of Trump to his children? This was a question by LA Times' Christy Parsons, who and telling him it's been how is he going to explain the election of Trump
The American People's Story said America's smarter than that. That we weren't gonna elect Donald Trump because America's
honorable mentions, and one was when tragedy struck Texas in the form of Hurricane Harvey. Many in the media politicized the tragedy, assigning blame on the Republicans, and others critics on the global warming theory.
Oh, yes.
Fault.
I
mean, these people have lost their minds.
They really have, and it's almost hysterical to watch them. I mean, if it wasn't so sad and dangerous, and I wonder about. They're not listening to anything else. They're not reading anything else, and they're just listening to mainstream media. And it's not really news. It's the news needs to be the news, and it seems like it's gone over ever since those morning talk news shows, like Good Morning America and some of those. Ever since those started up, it seems like news has become more entertainment and more opinionated instead of the facts. And maybe it's
and that's true. When I watch morning news, I don't care I don't want to know how they make an omelet. I really don't care. I like omelets. I don't want to know about their personal lives. I want the news.
Oh, do you think our listeners are saying that?
Pardon?
Do you think our listeners are saying that? I don't want to know that she just became a grandmother. I don't want to know.
Oh, well.
It's I don't mind some of that, but
if they get paid millions of dollars to give the public and the Fox News and all of those morning shows, they make billions of dollars. So,
yes, they do.
If we were getting paid billions of dollars, I would probably just report the news.
Or at all. If we're getting paid or at all. No, I love what I do. I love, the listeners are something, and I don't know if I was rattling papers again. I'm surprised I didn't get shushed. The listeners are, they're family to me. And I think you feel that way, too. I know on CSC Talk Radio, on my show that is coming up after this, they're family. I mean, they're sending me Christmas cards and they'll send me prayers throughout the year, and it means so much to me that they do that. And I know that your listeners do the same thing. I know that they love you. We had one call in yesterday, was talking about he listens to all 3 of your shows. They're special. They're family. They're why we are here.
Actually, he was going to call in and talk about someone else. He didn't call back today. We ran out of time yesterday's program, and he didn't
plus
call
his
back
phone
today.
was cutting out.
And his phone was, and that really was the issue. Your phone was cutting out. But I feel, this is an obligation. And this, we have such loyal listeners, and loyalty is hard to come by anymore.
Oh my.
Everybody's willing to jump and skip and do whatever because it's difficult anymore. But a lot of loyalty has been lost. And in my business, I strive to do the best I can do because, I promise people are gold and silver. It's not yet. It's just time to buy and accumulate. But I'm here for buy, sell, and trade. And if I'm not here, if the good Lord says, hey, you're up here with me for whatever reason, I'm not anticipating
No, don't leave
that.
us yet. Don't leave us yet.
No, I'm not. I have no plans to, but people will be taken care of. And I think people, they see that in both you, and because I do, I love getting my Christmas cards. I get birthday cards. I get prayers. I get wishes. And I get people who say, I've been listening to you for, since the 90s, since early 2000s. Some say, I've just picked you up a year. It's very heartwarming.
And we treasure all of them. All of you. Complex. All of you listeners. We treasure all of you. We may not agree 100%. We know you don't necessarily agree 100% with us, but it's a respect, and it's we treasure. We know that if you've allowed us to be in your lives for this hour, that it's special, and it's we appreciate that, and we're in this battle together. We're in this battle together.
Yes. So,
man, how did we get to that point?
No tears for us today. That's because we're not playing Christmas music.
Oh my gosh! But they are playing free, which means we will be back tomorrow. Remember, oh no, this is Wednesday, but Friday we're going to have Christmas Memories Day. So we want you to call in with your favorite Christmas memory or your one that stands out the most, and share with us. We want you to share that with us, and Melody and Beth Ann are gonna share Christmas memories as well, and we'll throw in a little news too because we have to. So, have a great day, Melody. Have a great day. You got to join me here in just a few minutes. We're gonna be on CSC Talk Radio together, and guys, have a great day, and we'll see you in just a little bit.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.